What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video in a little bit of a different setup. By a little bit, I mean a lot. I'm literally standing right now. I've got the desk differently. I've moved things around. I'm trying to make this better for you guys. So if you're a Leaf fan like myself, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. Lots of Leafs content already on the channel. Lots more to come. It took a few days there to give you guys a little bit of a break from hearing so much from me. But I am back now for what was basically talked about for weeks before the draft even and free agency and all that stuff like that. And that was people connecting the Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames together for a trade. And I know a lot of people have speculated that this could still happen. I've been messing around on Cap Friendly this morning. I've been looking at some rumors. I've been trying to come together with some pieces that potentially could be put into a trade. And I'm not really sure how it would work. And I know that the rumors have kind of died down a little bit. We're into this part of the summer now where a lot of teams might be taking a break, I guess. Some teams might not be, in the office every second of the day. But for me, I wanted to take a look at what the Maple Leafs could possibly do in a trade that could involve William Nylander, Noah Hanifin, and Elias Lindholm. Now, those would be the main pieces, right? It's very difficult. And the reason I'm still talking about this is NHLRumors.com, they pieced together some of the latest rumors and some of the latest people that have been talking about it. And as you can see, Julian McKenzie of The Athletic and the STPN put that Elliot Friedman has reported that Calgary Flames defenseman Noah Hanifin would like to play in the United States. Well, that's a problem. Michael Backlund, we're not really talking about him right now, but maybe he's a piece eventually that could be part of it. He wants to be playing for a contender. And Elias Lindholm, he's not really sure what they're thinking. And as you can see a little bit further down the page, could the Leafs let William Nylander play out his contract? Because again, there's still a lot of confusion. People think that William Nylander needs a deal for this season, the upcoming season. That is not true. William Nylander does have a deal for this year, and he's, like I said, he's already been signed. So the Leafs could let him play out this year. The issue is if he goes out and he scores 50 goals, or if he goes out there and just torches the league, his asking price will go up. And of course, that's great for the Leafs in the, right now. But it's not good if they're actually trying to hold on to him because they had the opportunity to sign him already. They could have held on to him and got him locked into a contract already, but they haven't. So that's the problem with the William Nylander part of things. But again, I want to look at all the main players that could be involved. Noah Hanifin wanting to play in the United States, again, that causes a big problem if the Leafs were actually interested in acquiring him. And again, there's always going to be those comparisons because Brad Treliving came from the Calgary Flames. I just don't know if they would want to make a trade with each other. The other thing is that Nylander also was born in Calgary. He literally lived there briefly. So of course there's always going to be those links. But let me just quickly pull up Elias Lindholm here. So $4.85 million contract. He's only got one more year on the deal. Of course, he'll be a free agent next season. And this is another thing that's a problem in this deal. All these guys have expiring contracts. Lindholm needs a new deal after this year. Hanifin needs a new deal after this year. William Nylander needs a new deal after this year. So it's a lot of uncertainty. These teams can make this trade and then just go back and re-sign them in free agency. So it's pretty tough. It's a big move to make. And maybe these deals would come with contracts being signed. But if we're just taking a look at Lindholm, he's been a really effective center for the Calgary Flames. He puts up a lot of points, 64 points in 80 games. The season before that, he was a point-per-game player with 42 goals. Before that, 19. Before that, 29, 27. As you guys can see, the numbers are very good. He's probably one of the more valuable pieces that people thought were going to be traded by now, but he hasn't. And then we go over to Noah Hanifin, a defenseman who can do a little bit of everything. There are little kinks to his game, but he is a pretty good defenseman, and especially at that $4.95 million cap hit, that's sure to go up, and he's only 26 years old. And again, if we're looking at the age of Lindholm, I think he's 28, right? Let me see. Yeah, 28 years old. Noah Hanifin, 26. Experience with Treliving, both these guys. But for a defenseman, 38 points in 81 games. Before that, 48. So, like, he can put up numbers in the playoffs. Not the greatest the year before, 3 points in 12 games. But again, he's a little bit of an all around guy. I think both of these guys are really valuable. Can you get both in a trade? Well, we're going to figure that out in a second. But first, let's move over back to the statistics and look at William Nylander, because if we're trying to clear out money and you have to give back the biggest value possible, the only guy that the Maple Leafs could really offer is William Nylander. And at just under $7 million for the 27-year-old with an expiring contract, I'm pretty sure the Flames would be interested in this, especially if he wanted to stick around. But over a point per game, 87 points in 82 games with a 40-goal season. Before that, almost a point per game, literally 1 point shy of it, 34 goals. And, he's done that multiple times. He had a bit of a rough season there, 42 and 51, which isn't the worst. But you see his playoff numbers, 40 points in 50 games. I think Leaf fans seem to forget that their biggest issue and the thing that they talk about the most is that Leaf players don't show up during the playoffs. William Nylander shows up during the playoffs, and that's something, again, the Leafs would have to replace. And if you're going to make a trade and both teams are like, yeah, these players would probably stick around with this team, like maybe Lindholm would stick around with the Leafs, maybe Nylander would stick around with the Flames, then this trade would all work out. But the problem is that with the cap problems and the cap issues, and I'm just looking at the Leafs side, I don't know how this trade would be possible. Now, people are going to go, oh, well, they don't need to acquire both. Yeah, sure, they don't. But at the same time, when you're trading a guy like William Nylander, I want to see if the Leafs can get maximum value. And I'm sure the Flames and their fans would be saying the same thing. How can we maximize the value of Elias Lindholm and Noah Hanifin at the same time? It's probably going to take a lot from the Leafs, but what I wanted to show you guys, and I'm looking directly in the camera, because don't go in the comments and go crazy at me. I'm not saying that this by any means would be the final trade. All I'm saying is this is what the money could look like on a small basis. Like, this is what it could potentially look like, and we're going to look at that. Again, do not tell me that this is not going to work. Do not tell me that this trade doesn't make sense. I'm asking you watching right now, to comment down below and tell me if the trade makes sense to you and how you would make it make sense. Because I know a lot of people just comment freely, make this trade, oh, it's going to work, it's going to be great, but they don't actually look at the details of it. So that's what we're going to do right now. So as you can see, I've added Lindholm and Hanifin to this team. Now you're going to see Matt Murray still here. You're going to see Dylan Gambrell here. So what I did, again, this is not what the final trade would look like, but Hanifin and Lindholm for Nylander, Robertson, Connor Timmins for a little money to make it work, which it still doesn't, a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick. Now, again, the picks could be first, the picks could be second, whatever. There could be picks on Calgary's side. It doesn't matter. This is just the small base of what this trade could potentially look like. Now, it's not going to work. And I'm telling you right now, the Leafs are over the cap by $4 million if they try to make this trade. If you trade Matt Murray, you still need to give close to $4 million to Ilya Samsonov. So let's just say the Leafs have about 600 more K of cap space there, right? So if anything, I need this to say negative 600K for it to look like the Leafs have, actually found space, right? So Dylan Gambrell, I'm going to put him in the minors. I'm going to bury his cap hit because you can bury up to $1.1 million in the minors. Now, that leaves the Leafs with their forward core. These lines actually don't really make a ton of sense either. This is just, again, a very, very rough look at what it could potentially look like. Again, Holmberg playing the wing doesn't make sense. I'm not really sure if I want Bertuzzi on the right wing on the second line. This is just trying to make this work, right? Then you look at the defense, and I know what people are immediately going to say. Oh, we'll just trade TJ Brody. Well, if you look at the rumor before, if Hanifin doesn't want to play in Canada, then if you get rid of Brody and then he's a free agent, and then Hanifin plays out this year with the Leafs and then he's a free agent, now you've lost both Brody and Hanifin, and you probably have not a lot to show for it. And you've also lost William Nylander and potentially also Elias Lindholm. You have to look to the future of these things as well. So the Leafs, to make this work, would have to have some crazy gymnastics, because even trading William Nylander, you're going to need a lot more value back. in a trade if you're not involving Lindholm and Hannafin? Like, how are you going to make this work and get NHL ready talent back? Well, they might have to just target one of these guys. Maybe in a trade, the Leafs just trade for Hannafin. Maybe they just trade for Lindholm. Whatever it is, I wanted to show you guys that it's going to take a little bit of gymnastics on the cap for the Maple Leafs to make this work. And sure, yeah, like you just said, right? And I'm sure somebody's commenting it. You could just, let's put Brody on LTIR as if he got traded, right? Now you're dealing with something that probably isn't the greatest. Riley Klinberg would get absolutely shelled on defense. Hannafin, I'm sorry, I just don't think he's better defensively than TJ Brody. And maybe some people are going to flame me for that, but Brody gets just crapped on for way too much. Jake McCabe got shelled in the playoffs last year, even though I like him at $2 million. And we're not even sure if Gio's going to be able to play a full season. And then you have Liljegren, who people have been hot and cold on. That leaves you with positive cap space, but that also leaves you weaker on the blue line, in my opinion. And you also don't have the correct depth on forward because you're probably not having one of Holmberg or Kampf play the wing. And I don't know if the Leafs would want to run a lineup that looks like this. So there's a lot of things, and again, this is why I want to turn it over to you. I want your opinion. I always ask you guys what you guys like in the videos and what you guys want in terms of trade videos. Do you want me to keep trying to make videos like this where we try to figure out a trade for William Nylander until something happens? I also want you guys to comment down below. Tell me how you guys would make this trade happen. If you're new here, like, subscribe, join the squad. There's a ton of you. I know there's so many of you guys that aren't subscribed. Even if you subscribe and then you start to not like the content and unsubscribe, that's fine. But if you're liking it right now, it does help a lot if you like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, just want to let you guys know that this trade is a lot harder than it looks. And I know already what most of the comments are going to say. Oh, just trade for one of them. Who says we had to get both? I'm just doing what comments had said and trying to make a fun video out of it. It's the off season. There's not a ton going on right now, but just believe I've got so many ideas up here that I'm going to be giving to you guys in terms of content with shorts and just regular videos. So make sure to like this video and subscribe. I love you guys, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.